Hi, Dr. Tyler Dickinson here. I want to talk to you about some common exercises and how to apply a proper neutral spinal position to those exercises. First, we need to make sure we really understand what a neutral spinal position is. So, neutral lumbar spine, okay, between your rib cage and your belt line, that's your lumbar spine. Neutral is a range, in my opinion, from a normal lordosis to a flat lumbar spine, okay? And if our lumbar lordosis gets accentuated, or we lean back or our pelvis tips forward, you're going to get extension of the lumbar spine. It looks like an arched back position. On the other side of that spectrum, outside of the neutral spinal position, if we round forward, if we bend forward and we let our spine round, that's flexion of the lumbar spine, okay? For the hip hinge and squat, we don't really want to be doing either of those. We want to stay in that neutral spinal position. Now, within the neutral spinal position, for different exercises, you're going to want to bias towards different ends of that spectrum, that range, okay? So to illustrate that, let's look at a plank. When you have a plank, you're supported at your feet and your arms, and gravity is acting on you in a way that if you lost the battle, okay, if your core disengaged or wasn't doing its job, and you lost the battle, it would pull you into an extended position in your lumbar spine, okay? So when you're doing a plank, not only do you want to maintain your normal lordosis, you want to really bias yourself towards a flat lumbar spine. So that way, if you do fatigue, if you get tired, you're just going to be falling into your normal lordosis, and at that time, you could, stop the exercise. You have an opportunity to make it easier before you get things looking really ugly, okay? Conversely, with something like a hip hinge, okay, or a squat, where we have some degree of forward bend with our torso, gravity is going to be acting on us in a way that if our core was disengaged, not doing its job, it would pull us into a rounded back position or flexion, okay? So when we're doing these exercises, we don't just want a flat lumbar spine, we want to make sure that we're bracing our core around a normal healthy lordosis, okay? You don't want to overdo it, but just your normal lordosis, what you're after for the hip hinge and the squatting, okay? So now let's take a look. I'll go ahead and demonstrate those exercises and what those look like. All right, so let's demonstrate how to do the squat and the hip hinge. Starting with the squat, I recommend that you use a hip to shoulder width distance apart stance, approximately. Your feet should point straight forward-ish. You might be able to point your toes out 15, 30 degrees. That'd be about as far as I'd recommend, because we want our knees to track over our toes. We don't want our knees caving in at all, okay? So once you get your feet where you want them, from here, you've got good posture, shoulders down back, belly's tight around your normal lordosis. And now from here, we're going to allow our knees to come forward, and as we break at the hips, both our knees and our hips are bending. Here, that's your squat. Okay, so my knees are coming forward, and my hips are bending, staying balanced on my feet, on the entirety of my foot. Not coming up on my toes, not going on my heels. The entirety of my foot is supporting me. The hip hinge is different in that we are not going to let our knees come forward. Okay? So it's going to be, most of the motion is going to come from my hips going backwards. My knees will bend, okay? So right now they're pretty straight, staying straight up tall. But when I hip hinge, my knees will bend, but it comes from my hips going back, okay? So you want to make sure you have good posture, your belly's tight around that normal lordosis, your hips go back till you feel a stretch in your hamstrings, and then your hips come forward, and that's the movement. Now, we only go as far as you feel this hamstring stretch. If you go farther, okay, it's going to be rounding up your back, and we don't want to do that. So just go until as far as you can with maintaining a flat, a normal lordosis in your lumbar spine. Another point on this, I think it is important to maintain good posture throughout both of these exercises, okay? It's an opportunity for you to strengthen your postural muscles, and by maintaining good posture with your shoulders and your upper back, you're going to encourage good position downstream into your low back, okay? So I like to think about big chest, shoulders down and back. Even when I'm bent over, I still have good posture. It's very common, I see people's shoulders roll forward, and just as the weight gets heavier and heavier, it's going to encourage more rounding that we want to prevent. And why not strengthen those postural muscles every chance we get? Because they're super beneficial in our life. That's how you do those exercises. Hope that helps. Thanks.